Hello and welcome back once again to the HR Social Hour Half Hour Podcast. This is episode 145. Jon and Wendy, welcome back. Micole Garatti. I'm your host, Jon.
And I'm Wendy. How are you, Jon?
Wendy, I'm well, and can you believe it's December?
No, I can't. April was 100 years ago and 100 years long, and it is hard to believe we are in December. It's just not real, but it's okay.
A lot of people have said they felt like the second half of the year has gone a little faster. I don't know if that's true. It seems like, March, April, I think we were all so wound up and getting used to what was all these changes that were going on. Maybe we've become a little more content or understanding, and it just seems like it's gone faster. I don't know. Well,
time is relative. There's actually a really interesting podcast, whatever, on NPR, and they were talking about it. So maybe I'll have to, when this episode comes out, I'll find it and I'll share it. But it was talking about the relativity of time and why we all have a hard time with it, which I thought was very fitting for 2020.
We certainly are not going to get into relativity of time here. I think it is fair to say, though, one of the reasons that we're really excited to have Micole back is that it is the end of the year and we have our final chat coming up very soon.
I know. And we're taking some weeks off of chatting too, Jon.
I think everybody needs it. We certainly need it.
We do. But this is, what a great way to end it for this year, for 2020.
It is indeed. We're going to be partnering with Micole on the HR for All chat. We're going to be talking more about that with her in the next little bit.
Yeah.
But that's going to be coming up very soon after this particular podcast comes out. And then our chat where Micole will be taking part is going to be December 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And that is it for the year. Once I say last call, that is the last call for 2020 for the HR Social Hour chat. And we will be back and better than ever in January. Who knows what we're doing next year yet, Wendy? Do we? We better have some kind of logistical meeting between now and the end of it.
We will. We'll talk about it. But I think at this point, I would also put out the call if somebody is interested in helping. If somebody has a great idea for a chat, let us know, because we are always happy to partner with folks. We did that a lot in 2020, and I think that was a lot of fun. And if there's a topic you want to revisit, in November we revisited 2 topics, shenanigans and bad bosses, and I think we had some really good conversations around that. It's a chat, and we don't have a whole lot of rules other than we're not talking FMLA and ADA and laws, but
not yet. You never know. Let's never say never. However, that's not. Never. If somebody brought a really great idea, we would certainly be open to it.
Or if somebody wanted to sponsor a chat about it.
Well, and obviously, yes, we're always open to vendors that want to have those conversations. Again, I think this is a great way to end for us and for Micole as she's wrapping up her first year. Hopefully she has learned just how crazy that whole world can be. Enough of that. Let's get into the conversation. Wendy, I'll let you make... Well, we're not really going to do an introduction.
No, we're not.
We'll get right to it.
We're just going to jump in because it is a repeat performance. We've got Micole back, and we are so excited. I remember meeting Micole at a National SHRM conference. I think it was in D.C. when we met.
It was.
Eons ago, it feels like now. But here we are, and so excited to welcome you back. But Micole, we always start, what is in your glass tonight?
Yeah, so I actually don't have a glass with me right now, but if I did, there would be apple juice in it, which sounds so weird, but my husband introduced me to, I think it's Martinelli's apple juice, and I didn't realize how good apple juice was because I hadn't had it as an adult until super recently. And I was like, oh my God, why did we stop drinking this?
And that is good apple juice. I've had that. That is really good apple juice.
Right?
Yeah.
There's so many different flavors. Everything just tastes so good.
And they do a really nice sparkling cider too.
Yes, they do. I think I had the cinnamon. It had cinnamon in it.
Oh,
it was
nice.
It was so good. It was so good.
Well, and this is the time of year for apple cider and applesauce and apple juice. I mean, we're recording right before Thanksgiving. I've got my turkey and my apple cider brine, so I'm all about the apples right now.
Apples and pumpkin.
Apple and pumpkin. Yeah, that's true.
Thankfully, there's no pumpkin juice. At least I've never heard if there is.
Unless it's Harry Potter.
Oh, okay. Well, this is not Harry Potter.
Or in the mornings when it's pumpkin coffee.
That's pumpkin spice. I don't really like that.
Yeah,
okay.
The cinnamon and nutmeg. Yeah.
Micole, it's really hard to believe you first appeared on the Social Hour. It was episode 84, which was October of last year. You've had a lot going on since then. What are you up to? What's going on? What are you doing these days?
Yes. So it has been it doesn't feel like it's been a year, but it's been a year. It has been a year. So the past year, I have updated the list multiple times. We've added, when I'll talk more about this later, but we've added almost 100 new people from the original list. My friend Corey Kapner from Recruitix and I launched the HR for All Twitter chat, and it's almost coming up on a year of that. I can't believe that. Maybe like 8-9 months or whatever, but it feels like it's almost been a year. And now I just started a new job as the director of B2B marketing at Fairy Godboss, which is the largest career community for women. And it is a job board for companies who want to attract and hire women. And we do employer branding and recruitment marketing, and you can put your jobs up. So it's been a really exciting time for me starting this new job and at an amazing company, and kind of wrapping up the year with the Twitter chat. And we're just now about to launch the new list. So lots of exciting things going on.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit more about Fairy Godboss and what led you to join them.
You both know me, and if you're listening, you may or may not know me, but you both know that my mission has always been to create more equitable and better places for us all to live and work. And Fairy Godboss is a really mission-focused company that has really similar, if not the same values that I do, focusing on advancing women at work. So it just was a really natural fit for me. And I'm so excited to be able to do exactly what I want to be doing at a company that's doing exactly what I want them to be doing.
Maybe you can talk a little bit more about what that means. For those that don't know you, talk about what that is that you wanted to be doing and why you're getting to, or how you're getting to do it there.
First of all, my goal for 2020 was to do awesome things and work with awesome people. So first of all, there's no better place than where I am at now, both being here with you and Wendy, Jon, and then also at work where everybody is so mission focused on advancing women at work. On my off time when I'm working on the list and the Twitter chat, I am really focused on diversifying voices of influence in HR and HR technology. And so I get to do that work both at work and my day job and through the list and through the Twitter chat.
We know that the pandemic has dramatically changed businesses. You're a marketing professional. You have been in our industry for your entire career now. What do you think's been the most challenging thing in 2020 from a marketing perspective? What should companies consider when it comes to their image and reputation, particularly in the midst of COVID? What are you seeing that's going well and what do you see that's not?
Yeah, so in terms of the biggest marketing challenge of the year, I think it was just having to rethink everything that you've ever written, positioned, named, and think about how it's translating to people today. And the truth is that it didn't translate really well what we were doing before. And so we've had to stop and think and say, okay, well, how do we fix this for today? And how do we repurpose products, or how do we repurpose employer brands, or how do we repurpose what's happening in related to the people's lives, what's happening right now. And 2020 hasn't just been the pandemic. There's been racial injustice protests. There's been the election. There's been one thing after another. And so having to really think about what the core is that a company does and what people are thinking and feeling right now, and then creating messaging and products that really focus on what those needs are it's not easy being a marketer in 2020. At the same time, I think a lot of companies are realizing that actions speak louder than words. And in terms of reputation, people are going to remember how you treat them in bad times. They don't care how you treated them when you are on your best day. They care how you treated them on everybody's worst day. And for organizations, I think the best thing to do is to treat people the way that they deserve to be treated, with empathy, with respect, with kindness, and with the flexibility and understanding that everybody has their own needs right now. Everybody is thinking about probably things other than work, and rightfully so. And people don't live to work. They work because they need to live. And so as employers, we need to be mindful and respectful of what's going on, and also realize that our people are our biggest assets. So how can we work around the lives of people so that people want to get the work done when they can?
One of the things we talked about the last time you were here was your most inclusive HR influencer list. And soon a new list is coming, or an updated list, I guess I should say. What's been the biggest surprise since you started it, and what are your plans for 2021?
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise was just like how much it blew up. I think that I really didn't expect the list to become what it has become, but I'm so glad that it did. And I feel like so many other people feel the same way. I feel like that was the most surprising thing, just that it has grown to become what it is. And in terms of next year, I think that we're just going to keep growing the list and growing our influencer community that you both are a part of, connecting on our monthly Twitter chats, and hopefully doing a lot more partnerships with people in the industry. Yeah, I think that's it for what's coming up next. I think 2020 was a year of such chaos that maybe 2021 can be like a year of calm and just rebuilding and maintenance and health and wellness.
Calm. I like that. Calm. Yes.
Yeah.
Micole, could you talk a little bit about the sub list or some more focused things that came out in 2020? What was the draw, or what was the reasoning to make these specialized sections of the list?
Yeah, so the list is so long. It started out with 150 HR leaders from people all over the world. We literally had people on the first list. We had hundreds of nominations, and we had people from all 6 habited continents, which was super cool. And since then, the list has only grown. So the second iteration, we had over 180 people from 14 countries and 6 continents. And now on the updated list, we'll have over 250 people from 17 countries. So it's just grown and grown. And I think the main reason behind the breakout list was because we wanted a way to make it super, super easy and attainable for everybody to see who the experts were in certain fields. And HR just has so many different niche fields that one person, if you're an employment attorney, you're still in HR, but you might not have the same experience as somebody who is in TA or anything else. So that was kind of why we wanted to make everything super attainable, super easy to find, see, share, and connect. And that was kind of the reason for the breakouts.
And do you anticipate doing more of those in the coming year too?
Yeah, I think so. There's so many new people on the list that highlighting the areas where, highlighting who the experts are and what the major kind of highlights of the list will just be something that we need to continue.
Well, as we said, one of the reasons that you're back with us is that you did launch the HR for All chat this year, which we were really excited. It's always great to see new chats coming in, particularly, and I'm sure you get this a lot, people can't make yours for whatever reason, the time doesn't work. We've heard that a lot in the last 3.5 years. So I think it's great that there's another great chat that's out there for people that need and want to have that conversation. We're glad you started it. We're even happier that we were able to make this thing happen to partner on it. Why did you start it? What's the response been? And then as a fellow chat moderator, what's something you didn't expect?
Yeah, so I'll start with that one. And I'm going to start with the last question because I just have to give a huge shout out to Wendy, who has answered all of my amazing a million questions about what it takes and how to moderate a Twitter chat and things to do and not do. And I feel like I've pulled a lot of things from you. And so thank you so much for being kind of my Twitter chat mentor. And I feel like what I didn't really expect was the amount of work it takes to just get people to show up, because it's not just you say, hey, we're doing something cool, come join us. It's, Hey, we're doing something cool next week. Hey, we're doing something cool next week minus 1 day. Hey, we're doing something cool next week minus 2 days. You have to constantly remind people this is when the chat is. And still, we've been doing it the same second Tuesday every month, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I have to answer that question. When's the Twitter chat? Every single before and after the Twitter chat. And every day I do T minus 4 hours, T minus 3 hours. I still have to answer, when is the chat?
Why didn't you remind me?
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
I recently got asked, can you send me a calendar invite for the chat? So I sent somebody a calendar invite from the chat. I've gotten all kinds of weird things. I don't know. I'm literally booked up on guests through, I think, the end of next year at this point. So I was not expecting how many people wanted to be a guest on that. So it's cool. It's not a problem. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing thing. It's just really funny when the requests come in and I'm like, great, I can book you for January 2025. Like it's at this point, it's like funny, but so that's something cool. Yeah, I think the chat has just been so cool, and meeting everybody and new people has been cool. And everybody's been so excited to show up. And I've even had people say, hey, I'm here. I'm listening to the chat. Or listening, but like reading the chat, whatever it is, however people like to learn and engage. But I didn't feel like I could participate. So I just wanted to let you know that I was here. Like I get that a lot too. And this is an amazing chat. I'm taking notes. So really cool. I'm really excited. I appreciate you and Wendy and for kind of helping me out and showing me the ropes and being mentors in the space.
I appreciate that. And I know Wendy does too. And we love talking about these things and doing them. I think hopefully you can now appreciate why I've talked about before. I quit as soon as that hour's done. Like I check out, right? Like I got to go do something else.
Yeah.
How did you land on actually launching? And then maybe, I don't know Corey very well. Maybe talk a little bit about how you connected with Corey, what he does and who he is and how all that came to pass.
Yeah. So I wanted to launch a Twitter chat for a while because everybody, I think you two even asked me at one point, like, why don't you start your own podcast? And in 2016 with Charlene Lavi, I did start a podcast and it was a lot. It was just the whole thing. And the technology probably has changed behind podcasting a lot. It's probably so much easier now to do technically than it was back then. But I feel like the experience really scarred me from podcasting. So I was like, I in my head, I wanted a way to engage in the community, but I didn't want it to be a podcast. So naturally, and we've all been longtime Twitter chatters, whatever the word is. And I think we all probably met on the same Twitter chat. That was just something in the back of my mind. Like, I don't need to do a podcast, but maybe a Twitter chat. And earlier this year, I was actually at the last week before everything shut down, was at Phenom People's Conference. I am Phenom, I think that's what it is. And Corey we were both next to each other working our booths. And he is the VP of sales at Recruitix, which is a programmatic advertising company. And I was there with my former employer, which is a TA tech company. So we were there and we just started a really engaging conversation. And we were talking about social issues and being there at a time right before everything that was shutting down, when we kind of knew that was what was going to happen anyway. So we had a really interesting and engaging conversation, and we kind of knew that we wanted to like keep in touch and work on some things together. And I kind of said, hey, I'm thinking about launching a Twitter chat. Would you want to, be my co-host? And he was like, yeah, sure. So we exchanged numbers and we've been partnering on this Twitter chat ever since. April was our first chat.
Very cool. I love it. We like to see people sharing anyway that they're comfortable with. Every format isn't for everybody.
I have to say though, Micole, you are better than I, probably Wendy too. Nobody's asked me if they asked me to send them calendar invites. No. I told them I looked at putting together an app. It's not in the cards right now for us. We've done this for 3.5 years now. I mean, it doesn't change. We added the second chat, a year and a half ago,
a year ago. Well, we started in January with the second.
Okay, yeah. So we started in January. So that's the only thing that's changed in 3.5 years is the addition of the chat.
I wanted to say no, but I feel like I'm a people pleaser, and I had a calendar invite on my calendar to mark the chat, so I remember anyway. So I was just like, sure, why not? to each of
Next time I'm sending them to you, say HR for All will send you calendar invites.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
That's gonna become my whole job, is inviting people to our chat.
That's a rabbit hole you don't want to end up in. Oh my gosh. But it's true. Anything you can do to help people remember to get there and join the chat. And, you know, sometimes it's awesome and sometimes it's not as awesome, but it's still enjoyable and it's still a chance to get together with people in that way. So kudos to you, because we need those chats, and I love it when I happen to jump on at the right time. There's something nice about that. You forget, and then you happen to be on Twitter at that time, and it's chat time.
I feel like that's me with Job Hunt chat. Like whenever I log on Twitter and I don't mean to be on there, and then I see Job Hunt chat and I'm like, oh my God, it's a Twitter chat time.
Well, Micole, it is now time for everyone's favorite part of our show, which is the Half Hour Question Connection. But this is our abbreviated version because you've been here before. First question: what career did you dream of having when you were a child?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a lawyer. And then I started studying for the LSAT and I was like, this is terrible. Like, why would anybody want to do this? And then my mom guilt tripped me into taking marketing. And I realized that like the same thing of trying to convince people to see the world the way that you do is exactly what marketing is. Just you don't have to take the LSAT or the bar. So I feel like I got the things that I needed out of the job in a different way, which is great and amazing. And it's definitely in line with, you know, my strengths and skill sets. So,
Micole, who's one person you've gained in your network in the last year that you think more people should know?
Yeah, I'm going to say two people because they're both amazing. Our Fairy God Bosses co-founders, Romy Newman and Georgine Wan, are incredible and amazing women. They just get it. They're so smart, so kind, so empathetic, and I just can't say enough good things about them.
A new HR professional asks you for one piece of advice. What do you tell them?
I think as the marketing person, I would have to say, like, take control of your network and your voice and your style of communication and really talk about everything that you do and why you do it and what your purpose is. So when things go well, you get the credit. And when things don't go well, you're not in the typical HR of everybody hates HR. People can really humanize you. So I think that is my biggest piece of advice for HR, because I feel like typically HR doesn't do a good job at the communications around who they are and why they do what they do. And it's so important.
And finally, Micole Garatti Day all around the world. What are we doing to celebrate?
Everybody is making a new friend.
I like that. That's nice.
I don't think we've had that yet.
I don't think we have. Awesome. No, I like it.
Or getting a puppy.
How about we just get to play with puppies?
Yes, that's also acceptable.
Taking them home is sometimes a bit of a commitment.
I guess we could say puppies is considered, they could be friends too.
There you go. I like it.
Friends and apple juice. That's what we're doing.
And puppies, yes.
And puppies. Micole, it's always great to be able to spend time with you and really appreciate the opportunity to partner on this last chat of the year, your last chat for the year, our last chat for the year, and to reflect on 2020, to celebrate 2020 and all the great things that everybody's had going on in the midst of some not so great stuff. Most of our listeners probably know you or are connected. If they are not, how do they get a hold of you? Tell us where to find you, the list, Fairy God Boss, anything and everything.
Yes. So find me at socialmicole.com and on Twitter, LinkedIn, and everywhere else at Social Micole.
We will have that in the show notes. And Wendy, how about you? What's the best way for the listeners to find you out there?
The best way, as always, is on my blog, mydailyjourney.com. Daily is D as in dog, AILEY. And of course, the second and fourth Sunday of each month, you will find me on Twitter as part of our twice monthly Twitter chat. How about you, John?
JohnThurman.com for all things Jon Thurman, and for the show, hrsocialhourpodcast.podbean.com. Listen, rate, review, share, anything and everything you do to help boost the signal. We appreciate. International listeners, you know the deal. We're coming for you. Mm-hmm. Let's talk. Let's get you on the show so that you can come back like Micole has this time. Micole, again, appreciate you being with us. So for the HR Social Hour Half Hour Podcast, I'm Jon.
And I'm Wendy. And as always, be sure to connect,
give back, and network. Take care, everybody.
We'll see you soon.